Welcome to the Magdalene Voices, giving voice to those silenced for centuries through sacred conversations with beautiful, illuminating souls. I am your host, spiritual business coach, mentor, catalyst, and facilitator, Maria Saraphina. I serve experienced, soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneurs, business owners, Magdalenes rising, and radiant beings just like you with the expansion and growth of yourself and your business. Aligning you with your deep inner truth, bringing to life that which you're here to birth, and supporting you in expressing your soul's divine purpose through your being and your doing in this lifetime. If you haven't already, I highly encourage you to join my newsletter to stay connected and updated. You can do so on my website, mariasarafina.com, where you can also find previous episodes and their show notes. And if you have ever wondered about your Magdalene connection and calling and whether you are a Magdalene, I invite you to download the free Magdalene blueprint I've created for you. Go to mariasarafina.com/AYM to get it. Also, if you're a soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneur, check out my show and podcast, Spiritual Business with Maria Saraphina. It's designed to inspire you, empower you, guide you, nurture you, and activate you. You can find it on YouTube as well as everywhere podcasts are being broadcasted, or click the link in the show notes. As always, I encourage you to listen with an open heart and an open mind and take only what serves you and leave the rest. Here is today's episode. Hello, Radiant One, and a very big and a very warm welcome into this episode of the Magdalene Voices, in which I am going to be sharing my personal journey with numerology. Just to make it completely clear from the offset, I am not an expert within numerology at all. I have an episode on numerology with a professional numerologist, Noverly Wilder. And so if you want like the more depth of what is numerology, how does it work, what do you do, what are the base numbers, and all of that, there's an episode that I will link to so that you can go check that out instead. So this episode is literally just me sharing my personal journey with numerology. And I think the reason I've noticed that because I've recently made a name change, and for some reason I somehow didn't think it was going to be like that big of a deal. And somehow I just kind of almost forgot that I did. And so people have been like, oh, there's a new name. And then I realized that I've just forgotten to literally tell people. And my first name has not changed really a whole lot. So that, maybe that's why it's not that significant to me. What is different for sure, and I'll go into this just a little bit later, is the energy of it and the vibration of it. It is very, very, this shift is very, very clearly felt, but I'll go into that later. I'm skipping ahead. So for me personally, I was one of those people, I'm not sure how, like maybe 5, 6 or even 7 years ago, I was one of those people that if you mentioned numerology to me, I would have rolled my eyes and I've been like, yeah, right. How can, changing your name, some numbers and blah, 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 and it's connected to the universe and the whole, I'm like, yeah, right. Just like, no, thank you. And very often when I saw people who were changing their names, it would always be something like completely, oh, sorry, I shouldn't say that because they probably loved their names, but it always seemed as though whenever you change your name or like you see a numerologist, then you have to be like, you have to have a name that's completely different. And so I think that was part of it for me where I was like, no, thank you. And knowing what I know now and having gone through the process not once but twice, I've actually changed my name with a numerologist twice now. I can totally understand why you can go into that. Oh, I can, these are the names, because if you work with someone like the people that I work with, you get these lists. And I should probably also say this is because in Denmark, where I am from, we have rules and regulations about our names. You can't name your baby just whatever, and you can't change your name to whatever unless it's been pre-approved. So if you choose a name that's not been pre-approved, you have to get the approval for it. Most of the times they'll approve it. However, it's a process. So with me, the times that I've done it, I've received lists full of names for these name changes, and so I can totally get why you would get into the whole, oh, I can be named this or that or that. But I also want to say that there are some very, very normal names on those lists. So it's just a matter of what you choose to, what you choose when you do this. So just to clear that out, that you do not, as a numerologist, like if you choose to change your name with a numerologist, you don't have to have like a crazy ass name. Or a long ass name or whatever. It's just there are lists, and there are usually normal names. So as I said, for me personally, I have changed my name in total 3 times in my life. The first time I was unaware of anything to do with numerology, and I changed it because of a last name that I no longer wanted to have attached to my name. And so that was just a change that I did without knowing anything about numerology. And then I have changed my name I went to a numerologist in December of 2014 because of the name that I chose had not been pre-approved. It had to be pre-approved by the Danish authorities. And so that change occur, like the full change or shift change occurred in, I think it was April of 2015. And then I've just recently changed my name again in December of 2019. And that went through very, very quickly. So I've seen the shift very, very quickly. The reason why I chose to see a numerologist in the first place back in 2014 was because I think, as with so many other things or tools, is that I was literally brought to my knees. I was in a place where it felt like everything was just, I don't want to say shut, but everything was not really working for me. It seemed as though felt brilliant. I felt I had everything I needed in order to succeed. It felt like I was doing all of the right things. It felt like I was on the right track. But no matter how much I worked or how hard I worked, it seemed as though I was always pushing, like Sisyphus. I was pushing a ball of a mountain, and just before hitting the pinnacle, everything would just slide back. And it seemed to be this repetitive cycle of just not ever being able to fully succeed, ever being able to fully complete something. And it was deeply frustrating to me, because it was like I knew back then, as I know now, I had everything that I needed in order to move forward. It just felt like something was off and I couldn't put my finger on it. And so when I encountered this numerologist that I used back then, I was like literally just like, I did have concerns when I remember sitting in the train going to see her. I was worried like that she would want me to be named something, weird or like whatever. But I also surrendered into the whole idea of like, if this is what it has to be, this is what it has to be. I don't care anymore. And this was also in the beginning of my expanding spiritual journey. So maybe my considerations for outside judgment I was more sensitive towards that. Today it's like, I'm spiritually AF, and, I don't put that on anyone. I don't ask anyone to believe in what I believe in, or for anyone to swallow my truth at all. I serve, I teach, I show up, and then what you take from that and do with it is up to you. What you, it's like I always say, take what serves you and leave the rest. And it's the same with this episode as with every one of the episodes. So on the way in the train out there to that appointment, I just remember resigning and surrendering, being like, okay, you know what? If it is to be something, then so be it. However, it turned out that very quickly, and I want to say that the first, like, going to that session was very, very eye-opening in terms of how much this person knew about me based on the date of my birth and the frequency and the vibrations of the letters in my name. I mean, that to me was just like, it was pretty significant and mind-blowing that they would know this much about me based on that. And that, of course, just reinforced the whole, okay, I'm in the right place and this is actually what I want to do. And I was in a different, as you probably can see and hear, is that I was in a different place. And so the name that she then chose for me, and she didn't choose my name, but she suggested, no, we can do this. So it actually, for me, that back then wasn't that big of a shift. It was just putting two of my names that I was born with together and removing a letter and adding a middle name, and then keeping my last name. So it was quite of a, after having gone through that whole thing of like being in the train and, okay, I'm ready to have this, like, they can call me, I'll take whatever. And then realizing that I can just like literally just keep my name and just add something, it was like, oh, okay. It was kind of soft. It was good. And quote unquote, it was easy as once we had the name pre-approved or approved, then, it was easy. And I experienced then the difference. So that was beginning of 2015 that they really kicked in, and they say that there's about 12 to 18 months of realignment or readjustment in terms of your new frequency and your new vibration. And having seen what has happened since then, from then and then until I recently changed my name again, there's no doubt in my mind that made a significant difference for me to changing my name, because since then I have completed things. I have filled my practice with clients. I have I've had a deeper sense of joy, and the whole completion thing for me was extremely important, because like I said, I was always feeling before that I was never able to complete anything. I'm not one of those people who've struggled with physical illnesses or any of that. And I know this is also going into a whole different realm. Always seek out your doctor. Don't think that you can think your way through it at all. That's not what I'm saying. I do know that there are parts of numerology that talks about like what you experience. So just if you're curious about that, look into it. But I was not one of those people. For me, it was more in terms of my business and my purpose and my being in this world that I was really, really deeply frustrated with. And like I said, the biggest and the most significant shift for me was a flip from fear to love, and from frustration and into satisfaction, from fear into joy, from being unable to seemingly communicate the right things to people, even though I knew what was in my heart. It felt like people wasn't hearing it. So all of that completely shifted, and I can see how in that period of time, also, excuse me, got to that space. So I've known without a doubt that I would never, ever, ever change my name again, ever, without having consulted a professional numerologist. My businesses, the ones that I have all been both consulted with an astrologer and a numerologist to make sure that their names are in alignment. And I wouldn't ever, ever do that again. Now, for some reason, and it's always easy to be, you can always be, when you're looking back, you can always see that there was always the thread. Now it feels like I've always known that there was another change or upgrade of my name that was supposed to be happening. I just didn't want to hear it or see it. In the episode that I shot with Numerology, which we shot back in, I can't remember, I think September of 2019. It didn't come out till just here in January. I already back then kind of had that thought lurking within my mind of, oh, could there be another name? Could there be something different? But I don't know about you, but for me, it's like, it's a process. And once those things come up, I'm kind of like, I like to say that they drag me kicking and screaming usually, because it's like, oh, I don't want to. And then, are you sure? And then it's like, I have to surrender into it, literally. And so I kind of knew that for a while. I'd known that for a while. And I was blessed to be in California for Numerology's first book signing. And Numerology being also both a client and a dear friend of mine. We were driving in a car, and I dared ask, could there be like a small upgrade? Because I had made some changes in my professional life, and one of the things that I really wanted to hone in and want to make sure that I implement into my work, and I feel is a core part of my work, is the activation, the implementation, the engagement of your divine feminine, not your divine feminine, but your divine masculine essence. Because most of the people that I work with are very aligned, they're very in tune, they're very, you've received the awakening, the gnosis, the knowledge of your divine feminine essence. However, if we do not marry that with your divine masculine essence, nothing will really happen. He's the cup holder, he's the one that will support you in bringing out into the world what your divine feminine is bringing through you. So it's the marriage of those two. And so I answered, so I asked, gently that question. I was wondering, could we maybe do like a shift, like, is there a slight, do I need another middle name, or is there something that we can do, knowing full well that any professional numerologist who works with anyone will probably have checked out your numeroscope to see if they're a match. And this is one of the reasons why I love Numerology so dearly, is because she does not kid around. She's not like, she's truthful, she's honest, she's just straight shooter. And she was like, nope. She was just like, mm-mm. And I was like, what? And she said, no, I would want to change the whole thing. And so that was, to me, was like, oh, you like, and I had to take a little time to kind of sit with that. At the same time, I also knew that it wasn't like, there was no way around it. I knew that there was another name that was waiting for me. And I knew that this time, the process of surrender was easier and quicker. So we had the session, and Numerology, being Numerology, had prepared 2 different numeroscopes. She'd prepared one where she could upgrade my old name, and then she had prepared the one that she would really, really suggest me having. And it was up to me to pick either of those. But I'm not. I came into, like, when I take the step or walk into it, I make it fully. I'm not gonna be held back. I'm not going to just do a slight upgrade. I want the full version of it, so to speak. And I could see, as we were going through the session, I could fully see the name, and not the name, but I could see the vibrations. And one thing that I should perhaps even mention is, about 2.5 years ago, I was given a name by my guides. And what I was told was, buy this domain. And me being me was like, why do I have to buy this domain? What's going on with this? And what's this name? And I don't understand. It's not someone I know. It's not me. Like, what's this? And am I changing it? There was all these questions. And I just kept hearing, like, just buy this name. And so I did, because we follow guidance. So I bought this domain. And going to the session, I had this weird feeling that the frequencies or the vibrations of those names would be in my new numeroscope. And of course, even though I am spiritual AF, I am also skeptical AF. So I was like, yeah. So I came in and we chatted, and it was a really good experience, really, really wonderful experience. And then she put the new numeroscope on the table, and I had to check the numbers, and I was like, lo and behold. So within the first name actually held the vibration of the first name that that I had been given 2.5, 3 years prior. And this is where like the universe blows my mind. Like whatever it is, like this divine intelligence or God or source, whatever you want to call it, that's where it blows my mind. How is it possible for me to be given a name 3 years in advance and then have that be the vibration that my first name's supposed to hold 3 years later? I don't know. And I just surrender into it because it is what it is. And it is what it is. And also the second name, that vibration could have been in my numeroscope as well. It's not what I ended up with because I chose something different, but it was in there. It could have been in there if I had wanted it. And so that to me was I suppose a confirmation of the path that I was undertaking with these names. Afterwards, having because the thing is, when you have a session with a numerologist, they don't give you your name. They give you the vibrations, the numbers. Like these are the numbers or the letters of your name's form have a number free. Has a it has a number equivalent, and so that forms, and that's what makes the vibration. Like this is even getting too experty for me, but that's what happens, and that's how you know. And so what you do, or what I got lists and lists and lists of name. And if you are following me on Instagram, you may have seen that in my stories I was showing my process of, I started out with a wall because that's just my my Virgo brain, like my Virgo rising brain, that's just like organizing, and like I just wanted to like see it. So I had it up on the wall, which is, truth be told, not something that Novely at all recommended. She was like, it may be too much to have all these names. And I did go through a process of like, I was super frustrated. I just wanted it to be done. I just wanted the new name to be there and blah, blah, blah. And so, but I put it up, and what I'll do is I'll add it on Instagram. So it may not be there right this moment when this episode comes out, but there will be like a post about where I'll show you the different stages that I went through in terms of my name. And so I would just go through it. Like I would remove a sticker, post-it note whenever I felt like, okay, now it's time. And for me, I burn and I clear everything. So I burned it, and the ones that I didn't end up choosing. And at the end, I was left with the names that I was left with. And it was like, these are my names. These are my names. And as a professional, being, having a business, having a website, of course, there was also that whole thing of, I have to rebrand and change everything and website and blah. And it's just, but I just want to say that if that's the space that you're in, I so get it. But I also know that it's been far easier than I imagined. And whenever my mind has started going off or blowing off, then it's just, been returning to center. And it's just been, like I said, it's been far, far easier. And it has been so, so worth it. Like I said, with the name change back in 2015, things got better for sure, and I wouldn't be where I am today had I not done that. I'm convinced of that. However, this name change is a whole different ballgame. Like the vibration, it's hard to explain, but there's this extra layer of satisfaction and joy. I know I talk about a lot about satisfaction and joy, but there's this other, it's not even that, it's like a pleasure field. It's like there's something that's just like, and everything has just, if everything is flowing, everything is just, it's flowing somehow. I don't know how that's possible, but everything is just flowing. And to be clear, like changing your name is not like a fix-it thing. It's like you still have to do the work. And I have done the work, and I continue to do the work. So it's not like change your name and everything will just be, automatically be better. Changing your name is like changing the I think nobody really relates it to it's like you're changing a ship, like you're changing the way you're navigating, that you're changing the structure, like you're changing everything. And then that changes how you navigate in the world, because it just becomes different. And I think because I've already changed my names once, then maybe there's something that, or you know what, shit could hit the fan in a month, and you'll hear me sitting here crying about my name. I don't know, but I had not expected for this shift or the difference to be felt this, as much as it is, and it truly is. And that's literally one of the only things, I would say, the only thing that's like fundamentally changed is that. So that's been magical. That is my journey. That's my personal journey with numerology. If you have any questions, again, remember, I'm not an expert, but if you have any questions that I feel that I can answer, you're more than welcome to leave them in the comments. And I would also love to hear your experience with numerology, whether you're someone who has not yet changed your name but would love to, if you're someone who's dabbled into it, maybe have changed your name, either by yourself or with a numerologist. I would love to hear your experience with numerology. So just share that with me in the comments below. And again, like I said, I'm not a professional numerologist. I will leave the links to Numerology, so you can do that. I am also not affiliated in any way, shape, or form. This is just my experience with this one person. You may want to, search the web and find someone who is right for you. I fully trust that the right people that we're meant to be working together with will show up in our lives, and the one person that I've recommend may not be the right person for you. So just always go within and make sure that the choices that you make are the right ones for you. So ease and grace and is really what I've noticed so far. So that's what I'm going to leave you with today. I love you. Take care. That is what I had for you in today's episode of the Magdalene Voices. I hope it served you well. If you're listening to this via podcast, know that there's a link to my website, mariasaraphina.com, in the show notes, and you can go there for all the deeds and the details. Finally, I hope that you will take a moment to either leave a comment or a review, or share it with a friend or on social media if you feel that it served you.